Hello everyone, welcome to the class. In this class, we are going to focus on four main types of writing styles, and we'll discuss some genres. Okay, this is very important. Okay, so already you might know some of the things, but today we will summarize everything. We'll discuss what are four main types of writing styles. Okay, and we'll look at some different genres of writing. Okay, so let's get started. Now, Hania, would you like to read? Hania, please read. Can you see the screen?
Narrative. Yes, sir. Narrative. Narrative writing is used in almost every longer piece of writing, whether fiction or non-fiction. When an author writes in a narrative style, they're not just trying to impact information, they're trying to construct and communicate a story, complete with characters, conflict, and settings. Examples of narrative writing: oral histories, novellas, poetry, especially epics, sagas, or poems.
Okay, so let's first discuss the difference between fiction and non-fiction. Okay, so do you know the difference, Hania? What is fiction and what is non-fiction?
Third, non-fiction stories are real and fiction stories are non-real.
Okay, very good. So you already know this difference. Now, fiction and non-fiction. Okay, so any story can be real and it can be unreal also. Okay, so it can be imaginary also. So narrative, this type of writing, it is actually based on a story. Okay, so it would have story elements such as characters, conflict, setting, okay, and some other the elements of the story. So this narrative writing, you would find it in oral histories, okay, novels and novellas. Can you tell me a difference between a novel and a novella? Minal, do you know the difference between a novel and a novella? Yes. Minal, do you know the difference between a novel and a novella? Anya, if you know, please tell us.
Sir, I think novella is a short novel.
Okay, good. So novellas are short and novels are long. You're right. So first difference is the length. In terms of length, novels are longer than the novellas. Actually, American novel at least should have it has 60,000 words. Okay, and any story which exceeds or or reaches 20,000 words, okay, it is considered a novella. Okay, novellas are short, okay, and novels are long. Okay, and other difference is that novels cover the whole life of the characters. Okay, so in novels you would find the whole life. Okay, but in short stories, you would just short stories are based on just say any particular thing. Okay, one or two things, not the whole life of the characters. Okay, any difficult circumstances or any struggles, but not the whole life of the characters. Okay, and novellas might cover a greater part of the life, but still they are not complete novels. Okay, so narratives also are in poetry, can be in poetry. Okay, especially epic sagas. Okay, sagas, not sagas, sagas or poems. Now, epic poems are longer poems. Okay, so they can be, in a story form. Okay, so this is known as narrative. Okay, narrative writing is used in almost every longer piece of writing. Okay, so see at the start it talks about the length, whether fiction or non-fiction. Okay, when an author writes in a narrative style, they are not just trying to import information; they are trying to construct and communicate a story. Okay, so remember this. Let's move to other type, expository. Bilal, please read the text on the screen. Yes, Bilal, read. Can you hear me? Sabatul, would you like to read? Today you are very inactive. Everyone get active, please. See, if you wouldn't participate, then I'm not going to continue the class. Sabatul, would you like to read? Today already, I've chosen a topic. Okay, everyone, let's continue. Again, I got disconnected, but now please be active. Okay, so who would like to read? Bilal, please start reading on your screen.
Yes, sir.
Read.
Expository.
Yes, read. Continue. Hurry up.
Expository writing is one of the most common types of writing. When an author writes in an expository style, all they are trying to do is explain a concept, imparting information from themselves to a wider audience. Expository writing does not include the author's opinions, but focuses on accepted facts about the topic, including statistics or other advice. Examples of expository writings: textbooks, how to write, how to articles, recipes, news stories, not editorials, or op-eds, business, technical, or scientific writings.
Okay, good. Now, let's first understand that what's the difference between an evidence or a fact and an opinion. Okay, opinion, it's somebody's, opinion. It's their idea, it's their thought. It's not true, and someone else might disagree with somebody's opinion, right? Evidence or fact or any statistics, they are, you know um, uh, fixed. Okay, so everybody would agree with them. So expository writing is all about evidence, facts, statistics, and procedures. Okay, so for example in textbooks, for example if you are reading any textbook or a textbook about science, okay, then there would be, evidence, facts, and statistics. There wouldn't be any opinion, any, say, fictional thing. Okay, for example when you are uh, cooking anything and you are following a recipes book, okay, then it's expository writing. For example, if you are reading any article about say how to install Windows. Okay, for example, how to repair any fan. Okay, so all of these kinds of writings are known as expository writings. Okay, now news stories are also expository, not editorial, are op-eds. Op-eds, include opinions. Okay, for example, other thing, business, technical, or scientific writing also is known as expository writing. So, in simple terms, when you are explaining any procedure to someone, you are telling them how to do something, how something is done. Okay, so all of these kinds of writings are known as expository writing. Okay, so let's read again. Expository writing is one of the most common types of writing. When an author writes in an expository style, all they are trying to do is explain a concept, importing information from themselves to a wider audience. Expository writing does not include the author's opinions. Okay, so remember this. It does not include the author's opinions, but focuses on accepted facts about a topic, including statistics or other evidence. Okay, so I hope you understand this. Okay, so
Sir, can you repeat?
yes, what should I repeat? The
Sir,
whole.
I'm not understanding that. What is it?
Okay, Bilal, expository writing focuses on a procedure. Okay, meaning how something is done, what's something's procedure, how something is done, or what something includes, what are facts about it. Say for example, let me put it in simple terms. If you are reading about any article, if you are reading about solar system. Okay, if you are reading any article about solar system, now all those things that you would read about solar system are facts, evidence, or statistics. It wouldn't involve writer's opinion. How many moons are there, how many planets are there, all of these things are information. Okay, evidence, facts, figures. Okay, it's not something unreal. Say any other example. For example, uh, all of a sudden at home your AC, is not, is out of order, and you just search online how to repair air condition at home. So the article that you would get would be expository writing. Is that clear now? It's
Yes,
a
sir.
type of writing, okay, which involves, you know, evidence, statistics, figures, steps of solving any problem. Okay, it wouldn't involve any writer's opinion. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, let's move to other type. Descriptive. Who would like to read?
Sir, may I?
Okay, Bilal, continue.
Descriptive writing. Descriptive writing is often found in fiction, though it can make an appearance in non-fiction as well. For example, memoirs, first-hand accounts of events, or travel guides. When an author writes in a descriptive style, they are painting a picture in words of a person or of a person, place, or thing for their audience. The author might employ metaphor or other literary literary devices in order to describe the author's impressions via their five senses: what they hear, see, smell, touch, or taste or touch. But the author is not trying to convince the audience of anything or explain the scene, merely describe things as they are. Examples of descriptive writing: poetry, general diary writing, descriptions of nature, fictional novels or plays.
Okay, so my first question from everyone is that what's memoir? Okay, memoir, memoirs. This word is pronounced as memoir. Okay, in British English, you wouldn't pronounce the R at the end if it's singular, memoir. Okay, but in American English, you would say memoir. Okay, if it's plural, then you would pronounce the S as Z sound. Okay, memoirs. So what's that memoir? Anyone? Do you know what's memoir?
The collection of memories.
Collection of memories. Ah, you can say that. Anyone else?
Sir, any historical account from personal knowledge.
Okay, so it's a personal account. Now, autobiographies. Have you ever read any autobiography, or do you know what's an autobiography?
Yeah, a person's write is an autobiography by
Okay,
himself.
good. So it's a story about somebody's life, and when you are writing about your life, mostly it's non-fiction. Okay, it's about facts. It's about real things. So descriptive writing. Okay, so here it says descriptive writing is often found in fiction, though it can make an appearance in non-fiction as well. For example, memoirs. Okay, now memoirs are like autobiographies. Okay, for example, in my second book, Innocence and Foolishness, I'm talking about my life. Actually, that book is a memoir. Okay, when you write about your about facts about real life, okay, then and about yourself, it's a memoir. Okay, so memoir is non-fiction. Okay, descriptive writing is mostly in fiction. You describe a lot of things in fiction, right? But also when you are writing something non-fiction, okay, you can describe things. For example, in your real life, you might own something, any possession. You can describe how it looks like, how you looked like, how somebody else looked like, right? So all of those details, all of those descriptions, so they can be in fiction and non-fiction also. Okay, and travel guides. So travel guides are also non-fiction. Okay, so whenever you go to any country, right, you read travel guides. Or there are many people who have written about their travels to different countries. Okay, so those books also come in category of non-fiction. Now let's read. When an author writes in a descriptive style, they are painting a picture in words of a person. Okay, in words of a person, place, or thing for their audience. The author might employ metaphor or other literary devices in order to describe the author's impressions via their five senses: what they hear, see, smell, taste, or touch. Now, when you write descriptively, okay, then your focus is on all of the senses. Okay, so you try to write in a way that the reader can hear, see, smell, taste, okay, or touch. All of these through your words, they can be touched. All of these senses can be touched. Okay, one day in coming classes we will choose any story, and while reading, I would ask you, line by line or some paragraph wise, that what senses are being appealed in that particular line, in that particular paragraph or scene. Okay, so we would do it practically as well. Did you understand what is descriptive writing? Okay, and but the author is not trying to convince the audience of anything or explain the scene. Okay, remember this thing, that when you are writing descriptively, you are not going to convince anyone. Okay, you are not going to explain. Now, if you would explain the scene, then it would be expository. If you would convince, then there is another type. We are going to come to that in a while. Okay, but remember here one thing that writing is mixed. For example, when I write stories, at the same time I'm using descriptive technique, I'm using expository technique, okay, and two three other techniques that we are going to cover, I also use those. So any writer writing any book or story, makes use of all of these writing. So here don't confuse with this thing that when writing you won't make use of all of these techniques, you have to stick to one technique. No, you don't have to stick to one technique. But in case you are writing very specifically, say you are describing any facts and figures, then definitely you would stick to that. Then it would be expository writing. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, we just previously learned about imagery writing, so can we just relate it to descriptive?
Sorry, say it again.
Sir, we learned about imagery writing, right? So can we just relate imagery writing to descriptive writing?
Yeah, imagery is a technique. Okay, so in imagery, imagery is a kind of, say, device. Okay, imagery is used in descriptive writing. Okay, imagery touches those five senses. Okay, when you are writing descriptively, you use imagery. Okay, it's related with it. Okay, imagery is a device used in descriptive writing. Okay, so for example, now
Yes,
let's.
sir.
Okay, so examples of descriptive writing are poetry, journal or diary writing, descriptions of nature, fictional novels or plays. Okay, so whenever you read any book, you can also think about the techniques, the type. Is it descriptive? Is it expository? Okay, or whatever books you have read, you can see, is that book involving all of these techniques in it, or it's specifically involving any one technique. So as I told you, any science books that you are reading, for example, in science subjects, they all of them would be descriptive, expository. Okay. Okay, now let's move to the persuasive writing. Who would like to read this? So see here, when you want to convince anyone, okay, when you want to convince anyone, then it would be persuasive, persuasive type of writing. Okay, so who would like to read this? Raise your hands. Hurry up. We have Anya. Okay, go on.
Persuasive. Persuasive writing is the main style of writing you will use in academic papers. When an author writes in a persuasive style, they are trying to convince the audience of a position or belief. Persuasive writing contains the author's opinions and basis as well as justifications and reasons given by the author as evidence of the correctness of their position. Any argumentative essay you write in school should be in the persuasive style of writing. Examples of persuasive writing: cover letters, op-eds and editorial newspaper articles, reviews of items, letters of complaint, advertisements, letters of recommendation.
Okay, very good. Um, Last week when we had Zoom class, we practiced some speaking skills, and I asked you some questions, right? And you took a position in your responses. You took one side, right? Once you took one side, then you started to give us reasons, evidences, justifications. right? You started to share your opinions, okay, and you were trying to persuade me to agree with your opinion. Was that true? Right?
Yeah, sir.
Yes. So see that if I asked you instead of oral answers, if I gave you one question and I asked you to write your response, then it would have been persuasive writing, right? So in argumentative essays, mostly in argumentative essays, you try to persuade someone. Okay, for example, as I asked you the question, should students be paid for attending a school? If this is a question, now you would, if you write your response, then you would try to persuade. You would try to give different evidences, justifications, reasons, biasness. You would, a lot of things you would share. So when you are persuading somebody, then you are using the type of writing which is known as persuasive writing. In cover letters are sent with your CVs, curriculum vitae, that you apply for. When you apply for a job, you attach your CV with your documents along with a cover letter. In cover letter, you explain things about your skills, about your efficiency, capacities, abilities. Okay, so you tell that you are fit for that job. So cover letter tries to persuade the employer to hire you. Okay, op-eds includes opinions. Okay, writers opinions. For example, if you write, if you have ever sent any article to any newspaper, then you would choose a topic and you would try to share your opinion and you would try others to agree with you. Okay, reviews of items, they also are very persuasive. Letters of complaint. Okay, so when you are writing any letter of complaint, then you would persuade somebody to do something or not to do something. Advertisements are totally persuasive. They make you to buy something or to use something. Okay, letters of recommendation are also persuasive. For example, a few months ago, one student asked me to write a recommendation letter for her tour. Okay, so there was any program for going to the US, and she asked me to write a cover letter. I had taught her in 2016, okay, in inter class. So she sent me a request to write a letter of recommendation. In the recommendation letter, I talked about her performance in the class. I talked about her confidence. I talked about her time management, her presentation style, everything. So I tried to persuade the other party to choose her for the program. Okay. She was Shazin. I think you might know her. She's studying medical. Okay, and she's doing MBBS. Okay, so let's move to, if we have last. Okay, so we have covered all of them: persuasive, descriptive, expository, and narrative. Okay, and some of the things we discussed, genres. Okay, so we know poetry. I think you know poetry and prose. What is difference between poetry and prose? So today's focus was on types and genres. So let's discuss the difference between prose and poetry. What is prose and what's poetry? Who would tell me? Yes. Yes. Anyone? Do you know the difference between the prose and poetry? Yes, raise your hand. Your silence shows that you don't know this. Okay. Ania, Minahil, Umair, Bilal, Muzammil, any idea? Nisabatul, do you know this? What's the difference between prose and poetry? Okay.
Sir, poetry is in verses form and prose is not in that way.
Sorry, say it again.
Sir, when we write poetry, we write it in like verses form.
Okay, good. So poetry, when you write poetry, you make use of lines and stanzas, right? And when you write prose, in prose you have paragraphs. Okay, so now, for example, any letter, any essay, it has paragraphs. Okay, so when you are writing any story, it has paragraphs. So anything that has paragraphs is known as prose. And when you talk about lines and stanzas, then you are writing poetry. Okay, so then also we talked about memoir. Okay, what's memoir? Autobiography, fiction, non-fiction. Okay, and already in the class we have discussed some story elements. Okay, okay, so I think everything is clear. And then we talked about novel and novellas. Okay, and already you know what's a journal or a diary writing. Okay, so it's also non-fiction. Okay, journal diary is also non-fiction. Okay, so then we talked about cover letters, that what are cover letters. Okay, and then we talked about recommendation letters. Okay, so that's it for today. And it's very important to know the differences. Okay, and remember one thing here, that after when you know these things, okay, then you might get confused that you won't use these in story, or you have to use them specifically. No, all of these techniques can be used in any genre. For example, if you're writing any story writing, you can be persuasive. Okay, your character can be persuasive. You can use the descriptive type. Okay, you can add descriptions. You can expose anything. You can explain anything. Okay, you can narrate. Definitely you would narrate. So all of these things are used. Okay, you can use in any story. Okay, so sometimes writers use all of these techniques. Okay, so far any questions if you have about this topic? Okay, everyone, that's it for today. I hope you learned new things, and I hope that your understanding is broader now about writing genres and about writing types. Thank you very much for coming. Allah Hafiz.